Good evening and welcome to the 2021 Enactus India National Competition Opening Round Award Ceremony. It gives me immense pleasure and happiness to join such a passionate and committed group of Enactus students and faculty advisors today. I know the journey to this day has taken a lot of hard work, especially given the nature of this past year. And Enactus India is proud and indebted to all your passion, dedication, and commitment. This year, close to 80 Enactus teams in India are competing in the early stage and mature stage competition verticals and presenting the positive impact they have had on their communities. We will soon be announcing the results of the opening round of competition that has taken place over the last 2 days. But for the next 33 minutes or so, we have something special planned for you. A very relevant and engaging dialogue on the topic, skills and competencies for sustained success. To join in this conversation, I'd like to first welcome and introduce to you Ms. Aditi Sinha, who is the Global Head Consumer Source Data Acquisition at Nielsen, and also a certified mentor and coach supporting the growth and transformation of young aspiring women. Joining us next from KPMG is Sunit Sinha, Partner and Head, People, Performance and Culture at KPMG. Sunit has been involved in extensive research around the future of work, human-machine collaboration, and is an expert on preparing leaders and organizations to thrive with these fundamental changes. And third on our panel of guests today is no stranger to Enactus India, Terry Turok, the Chief Innovation Officer at Enactus Global, who's joining us from New York today. Terry has been part of Enactus India and has conducted multiple social innovation workshops across the world with a special focus on passion on purpose. A very warm welcome to all of you and to our two student panelists today, Sharanya Verma and Meher. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I am Sharanya Verma from Enactus Jesus and Mary College, and I have with me my fellow JMCite, Meher Sondi. We welcome all of you to today's 33-minute dialogue session on the topic Skills and Competencies for Sustained Success. It's a privilege to have with us today Aditi ma'am, Terry sir, and Sunit sir to discuss a topic that is very close to all of us. As we progress towards our future, which includes our career prospects as well, developing the right skill sets and competencies has become more important than ever before. Since most of the students here will be concluding their college life very soon, getting a streamlined direction to developing the right kind of skills is necessary for effective transformation and sustainable success. So without further ado, I would like to begin the session by directing the first question we have to Aditi ma'am. So ma'am, we're often told that successful transformation is more about people rather than processes. How would you say that people around us help in career progression, and how do they help us grow our competencies in a positive manner and in a positive direction?
Thank you, Sharanya. That's a great question. And I'll start with saying that in our work life, there are many kinds of people around us. Let's start with the leaders who influence us the most. You possibly work under some directly when you are working, or you have other leaders who are in the group who are guiding you. So we continuously learn from our leaders, we emulate them, we see how they lead us, and we start assimilating some of the characteristics that they have. Also, you if your peers are really up there challenging you, they are the ones who can bring out the best in you, and you keep the cutting edge working with your peers as well. So we should also remember that when we have teams under us, we continue to learn from them, because once we realize that we are not the expert in everything, and you will need to bring in experts in different areas of work, you continue to learn from them first. But most importantly, we need to have that mindset that we need to learn from everyone. We need to have a group mindset, and therefore, everybody around us can influence us in a work environment. I also want to mention a couple of other people who are like your coaches and mentors. You see, all the athletes have coaches. They either directed at their performance, or they are directed at their attitude and mindset. That is very, very critical for all of us. And not so, you can see explicitly how a coach can help an athlete. So why can't a coach help you in your career? It's a very similar analogy. So if you get a coach or a mentor early on in your career, you can really get guidance from them. And most of the people around you should have a core team. So you are the CEO of your own company. So Saranya, you are the CEO of Sharanya and Company, right? But you have to surround yourself with trusted people who give you feedback, who keep you honest to yourself, and who allow you to see your potential. And only people can effectively do that for you. That could not just come from your manager, it could come from your team members, it could come from your peers. So it's important that you keep that feedback loop open, and you learn from the feedback. What feedback you take and how you process it is, of course, up to you. And there are also role models, they influence you indirectly, but your direct sphere will always give you good feedback and keep you updated. And definitely early on, get hold of a mentor, get hold of a coach.
I can strongly relate to your words, ma'am, and I'm very sure that all students would be feeling the same. We at Enactus work in progress as close knit teams because a project and an impact story is driven by all the people around it. So, thank you, ma'am, for the answer. The next question is for you, Suneet, sir. I read that you worked in and that you're even currently heading the HR and recruitment department of big companies. So, what do you believe are the top four skills essential to possess in order to be successful across one's career?
So thanks for that, Maher, and hello everyone. I think that's an important question. The thing is that the way I've looked at it, and over my own career of 24 years, what I've seen, having been working in the people space, both for organizations and consulting with other organizations, is that it evolves over time. At the start of your career, you may require a certain set of skills, and then you continuously evolve. However, if I were to give you a broad answer, I think there are three buckets in which I'll put these competencies which are related to a certain technical or functional domain. So some of you could think of becoming finance professionals, right? You want to become a chartered accountant, you want to become a cost accountant. There is obviously engineering and other technology skills that one could look at. You could go and do a high level degree in economics and get into economic metric modeling using various tools. So essentially something for which you need some deep learning and a higher degree education and some deep skills. So that becomes your technical or functional domain area. That's one element which always because that kind of determines where you start off. And at the start of your career, obviously that is important because, for instance, if I need to hire someone with software coding skills, it's someone who needs to understand software coding as opposed to someone who needs to understand macroeconomic analysis. So that's one. But I think the second two buckets of skills are becoming even more and more important. And probably as one evolves through their career, having worked, maybe you work 5 years, 10 years, get into the middle of your career, and as you become more senior in an organization and your roles keep changing, I think what's becoming more and more important are a set of what I would say behavioral or leadership competencies. So, which is how you work with other people. So, how do you work in teams? How do you collaborate? How do you coach others? How do you listen and empathize with people? That's becoming more important because while you may have a functional domain, but today, as organizations are becoming more complex and the business environment is becoming more complex in all sectors, not just in business organizations, but I would say even in the social sector, it's important to be interdisciplinary. And in order to have that interdisciplinary approach and be able to understand where others are coming from, I think these competencies become very important. And finally, I'll talk of another area of skill set, which I would say is more the inner game when it comes to skills, which are, you could call them traits, you could call them but things that you could also work on, which is around self leadership. So, how self aware are you? How do you learn? Do you know how you learn? How do you look at looking at obstacles? Are you and it even goes down to things like, do you look at things pessimistically or optimistically? What's your default mode? So getting in, and there's a lot of neuroscience research, and it's quite. I mean, I'm happy to talk in more detail later as you have follow-on questions in terms of how you actually that becomes almost very critical, especially at career inflection points when you start moving from being just some team member who's contributing individually to someone who's a team leader to someone who's leading other leaders. At those career inflection points, the third set of skills are becoming even more important Meher, than the previous two. So that's my kind of quick answer to your question.
Thank you very much, sir. That was really introspective. And I think I also went into my journey in Enactus, going from a member to a position holder, and now having this panel with all of you wonderful people. I feel that what you've shared today is also extremely relevant for students in the current competitive environment, especially because many of us are graduating and about to begin our own careers. So the skills that you've outlined today, I'm sure the students in our audience would like to develop these and use the time that we would otherwise spend on traveling or other things, and we're at home and we can utilize this time now. Since it can be a little bit monotonous at times being home, we appreciate every avenue that we can channel our creativity towards. Talking about creative thinking, as we all know, Mr. Teddy Turok has made leaps in the field of innovation. Millions of Enactus students and alumni from around the globe look up to him and draw inspiration. Sir, it's a pleasure to be interacting with you on this subject. Since most of us have been stuck in our homes for the better part of the past 2 years, how do you suggest that students of what we can call the COVID-19 batch can ignite creativity and innovative thinking?
Well, first of all, if we're going to be stuck in our homes next year, I want you to come over to my house. Everyone, come on over. We're going to all get together in one big, wonderful home. I can't wait to gather again. Our future is definitely hybrid. We're not going to get rid of our online audience and the ability to have this conversation and also connect with the entire planet. I happen to be in the middle of America today in Denver because, well, Aditi is in New York, and I guess there wasn't enough room for both of us. So anyway, I'm in Denver today, and it's great to be connected all over the world. And you bring up creativity, but first I want to touch on something that Aditi spoke to. CEO of your own company, get a coach. And then you had mentioned we're close-knit teams. If you don't get an individual coach or an individual mentor, I advise you to get a team coach. The Olympics are just completed, and a lot of those coaches coach the whole team, and team is really critical because what Sunit offered is that those three different areas of behavioral and self-awareness, it's about really getting along with each other, and there's nothing more true to the future than right now in our human nature skills. So while we may delve into technology, creativity is really about combining both halves of our brain, the left side and the right side, so that we can think in whole brain skill sets. And it's very important. Look at all of the great teamwork that's been happening at teams in India at Enactus. You've been focusing many more projects on social health and social well-being and our mental health. It couldn't be more important than ever to focus on our own mental health. Who saw that coming? And if you take a look at the World Economic Forum, when they predicted what the future skills were, they talked about AI and technology and all of those skills. And then they had a completely reset during COVID to go, whoa, we forgot about our own humanity. So what I would offer to you and the teams is be creative and think ahead. And when we think about creativity and you hear things like AI, I offer to you, think about AI too. Sure, there's artificial intelligence, but there's actual intelligence, and that's what you own, actual intelligence. So go own it, AI too. The World Economic Forum top 10 skills rated #1, analytical thinking and innovation is the top skill. This is after the effect of COVID. #2, active learning and learning strategies. Well, that's all about being an Enactus student. And as our friends at KPMG will tell us, it's lifelong learning. It doesn't end at college, man. If anything, it just begins. So when you learn how to learn, it is one of the most critical skills And so when you take on that new job and the new career and you look around you and you work on team dynamics and you continue to learn and learn and learn. And then number 3 in World Economic Forum's complex problem solving. And wow, did the world give us a complex problem to solve? This is one of the most challenging times ever in the world, and you're living in it. This is our history. What a great opportunity to connect and be together as humankind. And then the 4th is critical thinking and analysis. And the 5th was, to your point, creativity, originality, and initiative. Initiative is the ability to think forward, predict the future, and be a leader and take it on. So really great to be with you today, and can't wait to hear the rest of the panel discussion.
That was a really, really insightful answer, sir. I even remember that you even visited a college, Jesus and Mary College, a few years back. And I hadn't joined the college back then, but Sharanya was there. She even hosted the event. She still talks about how insightful that event was, and and after witnessing the same today, I now feel that I missed out on a great opportunity. But I'm so glad that I got a chance to talk to you today. So coming to our next question, again for Sunit sir. So in Enactus, we talk a lot about triple bottom line, profits, planet, and people. How do you measure the performance of an employee? Is it only business results, or there's something more to it?
Great question again, and I'll tell you, this again has changed a lot. And in fact, I love Terry's point on the AI too. In fact, in the work that I've done around in human plus machine collaboration, one of the things that I'm often asked is, "Oh, is the future all digital and machines?" I always say no. The future is more human, because we'll have more time to spend time with each other, because the transactions and the tactical work will be done by machines. Anyway, coming back to your question, so in terms of performance of people in organizations, often they used to be, and maybe a couple of decades back or 3 decades back, when I was in college and just starting out, there used to be a lot of emphasis on the what. What is it that you're supposed to do? So people used to talk about balanced scorecard, key result areas, economic value add, KPIs. They're still with us now. We call them OKRs, objective and key results. That's still there. That's important. That those are all your business metrics. Sales, revenue, profit, customer impact. However, over time, people started emphasizing a lot on the how. How are you delivering those? And that there I'll take you back to the point I made about competencies. How are you working with people? So therefore, are you just getting the results at the at the cost of your team morale? Are you doing it at the cost of low quality? Are you doing it at the cost of customer delight or consumer delight? And today, if you think about Maher, we all live in an experience economy. I mean, one a bad one upset customer can get onto Twitter, and there goes your company stock. So I think it's the what and the how has become very important. And we talked of the triple P, right? The planet. That's an interesting one. Even organizations today, and I do recall one of my ex clients, Paul Pullman at ex Unilever. He talked about it 10 years ago when he talked of the UN 2020 goals of SDG, and he said, it's also about purpose. How you linking your performance as an individual employee. You could be the CEO, you could be at the bottom of the ladder, but your personal purpose, how you're impacting, and that purpose could manifest itself in what am I doing for the community at large? Am I driving the inclusion and diversity agenda in the company? Am I driving certain other initiatives? Am I doing some community outreach? So that whole element of additional initiatives, which may not necessarily be part of the job role or the function that I'm in, but I'm adding to the organization both inside and outside. I mean, something like what we do in corporate citizenship at KPMG as well. And that actually, especially with millennials coming more and more into the workforce, and not just millennials, everyone who's, I would say today, under 30, under 35, I think that's becoming a key motivation factor. In fact, some years ago at one of my previous organizations, we did away with this thing called the bell curve, because people said that, what, we don't believe in that. We want to have social impact and impact everywhere. We don't want to be ranked and tell, oh, you're number one, you're number two, no, you're number three. So the way performance is looked at has changed a lot. So therefore, what you talked about triple P, I see it manifesting, and purpose is becoming even more important in the post-pandemic world, Maher, if you ask me.
Thank you, sir. I completely agree with you on that. Even I believe that at the end of the day, it all boils down to adapting yourself to the changing dynamics and the ever-changing environment that we are in. So yeah, moving on. Enactus has over 60% women members. Investing in the right skill set for women has become a strong measure to build bridges between jobs and the workforce. Globally, we can accelerate growth through greater economic participation by women. Aditi ma'am, you are an eminent women leader with vast experience. What would be your advice to all the future women leaders to develop their careers?
So, firstly, I am thrilled to note the participation of women in Enactus. It's amazing, right? And secondly, I really love this question. I was waiting for this question because, traditionally we view attaining a good work-life balance as a goal. We have hit a goal, or it's a measure of success. Uh, the problem is we tell ourselves we'll put in 8 hours of work, then I'll put in 8 hours of family time, me time, I'll go to the gym, I'll do this and do that, and all of that. It is, I don't think there is a simple formula, or I wouldn't say that it is a one time fix. You have to keep working at it. And especially for women, when there is a disproportionate distribution of work in terms of family care, it's very important that we develop. And this is not just for women, it's also for men. And I think we mentioned in the pandemic age, I think Sumit mentioned and Terry mentioned, that it has become, most of the women, the largest amount of people who have dropped out of the workforce during the pandemic are women. 40% effect has been seen in the US, so you can imagine how it is for the rest of the world. So in that case, my advise, if I may advise at all, I would say that first and foremost, we need to develop a growth mindset. Terry spoke about all the competencies that you need for a growth mindset when he was talking about actual creativity. But it's important for all aspects of our life. We tend to compartmentalize our life into work and family. It cannot be. I'm a human being. I'm one person. I can't compartmentalize myself into two parts, right? And therefore, having that growth mindset allows you to understand what is important to you at what point of time. And secondly, you need to prioritize based on your circumstances and your life cycle. You will have phases in your life when you need to devote more time to your family, and when you are a little more freer, like my son is graduated, I can devote more time to work or anything else that I want to. He doesn't need me around, right? In fact, he gets irritated if I'm around. So I have a lot of free time doing that. So yeah, it is important also to realize one important thing. And I think Sunit mentioned a very, very valuable thing, which is purpose. And how work life balance relates to purpose. Work life balance is nothing but a proxy to what we call fulfillment and contentment. And that comes from purpose. If your central core is purpose, then you would be fulfilled in doing whatever you are doing, whether you're tending to the family or you're tending to work. And if your work and purpose merges, and that's why people like KPMG are really working on helping organizations identify purpose and bring commonality of employees and the organizational purpose, so that there are people feel more happier at work, you know. And therefore, it's very important to focus more on the purpose than a work-life balance.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's really enlightening. I think personally empowering to hear your take on this. Being from a women's college, instead of 60%, the entire team of 100 plus members at Enactus GMC consists of remarkable women that I've had the privilege of working with. I see the women around me starting their own ventures and leading college societies and having exceptional achievements on a regular basis. So this next question that is directed towards Mr. Terry is really close to my heart because my peers and I struggle with it on a daily basis. In the competitive environment that we find ourselves in, we tend to extensively push ourselves in order to achieve greatness or greater success, and we don't really take measures for sustainable development. Sir, could you share your insights on how we can deal with this extremely common concept of burnout and rather focus on sustainable growth?
Woo! Tough question and a perfect one. Burnout. Let me acknowledge, first of all, my fellow panelists with their brilliant comments. I want to just first of all talk about work-life balance, because burnout happens here. Talked about many of through COVID, many of those that had to drop out were women, but from a men's standpoint, we need to think in terms of abundance and abundonomics, and thinking from a place of a woman has, that doesn't mean a man does not have. It means that there's plenty of room at the table. And even for men to have paternity leave, to have the benefit to help at home and a work-life balance, we should all be leaning in all the way around. And when we talk about the triple bottom line, as many of you know at Enactus, we changed our judging criteria to reframe triple bottom line. That is not about profits, it's about people, planet, and prosperity. People, planet, and prosperity is putting people first, that humanity first. And if we're at the edge of burnout, then we're not optimizing our own skills, our own capacity, our own availability. And so talking about skill sets for today and the near future, you talked about, Aditi, you talked about growth mindset, but there's also a growth heart set. It's our own human heart, our own human health. And the way to be productive at work is sometimes to be away from it. So we get perspective. If you really want to spend time getting work done, get out of the office, go for a walk, get some perspective, get into nature, get your heart pumping in, get your health going. That perspective gives us a better opportunity to be even more productive. So when we think about more productive, greater productivity, it's not necessarily about sitting and working. It's about actively moving and getting our heart pumping. And burnout is such an important subject matter. And we saw it during COVID. We weren't just burned out because we were at home. We questioned what? We questioned our own purpose. We're like, what are we doing? What on earth are we doing here in life? So when we think about passion on purpose, if we're not fulfilling and putting our passion out there into our whole being and our whole life and our whole workplace, then how are we going to take our passion and put it on purpose? Where's our POP, our pop? And that's why that theme at Enactus this year is more than a theme this year. Passion on purpose is our growth and our opportunity going forward. And burnout is all about not applying our passion. And so it's up to us. We talked about the ladder earlier, and my colleague mentioned at the bottom of the ladder, but the person at the bottom of the ladder is the one who holds the ladder. They're one of the most important people. They're anchoring the ladder. And so when I think about our corporate structure, it's so strange. We have a board up here, and then the leaders, and then the managers, and then the employees down here, and there's a board up here. But we should, if we're thinking about burnout, we should just flip it upside down and look at the CEO as holding humanity and holding our team members together. It's great to serve humanity. It's great to serve students, but we have to serve each other. We have to serve our colleagues. And so when we think about flipping the corporate structure upside down and supporting those near us and around us, then we will turn burnout around and we'll be more humankind.
Thank you, sir, for that advice. I think that put a lot of things into perspective as well as got us all thinking. So I was even making notes on the side. Thank you for that answer. Meher, over to you.
I think we still have time, so let me just ask this one last question to all of you. If you had to share 3 tips for our students as we graduate and start our careers, what would they be? So starting with Aditi ma'am.
Well, I'll steal it from Terry, and he is an example of passion and purpose, right? If you know Terry, you know that he is the right example where passion and purpose come together, right? So I would say that most of us choose to go for work because we think it's work, it will fetch us money. The ideal goal of happiness is where your passion and purpose come together. So I don't know if I need to say three things to you, but I would just need to tell you that just try to bring your passion and purpose together, and that will make you happy. I would advise everybody to be happy first, and you can do everything later. Of course, you need to acquire the right kind of skills, you need to figure where you want to be. It's important to have clarity, and it's a lot of burden on students to have that clarity when they're just they're not even allowed to vote. And you're expected to have the whole clarity of your life. It's okay to make mistakes, be okay to fail. Don't hold yourself against it, because you will limit your learning. So be ready to fail. It's not the end of the world. Your life is totally ahead of you. If you don't fail a couple of times, you may not find where your passion and purpose meet. So be okay with failing. I know, and especially in India, most of us are really conditioned to think failure is like the end of the world, and it's a taboo. So it's really not. And if you don't fail a couple of times, you won't learn. So go and find your passion, and you'll find your purpose for sure. All the best to all of you all who are graduating.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your kind words. Moving on to Sunit sir, what are your views on the same?
So let me first acknowledge Aditi. Great point on happiness. I wish someone had given me that advice when I about 25 years back. But still, uh, the thing is, just to add on to the points Aditi made, and I resonate with all of them. Is I would say a couple of more things. I don't really have a number of three. One is, and again, I'm talking about my own story in a way, is the fact that be open. And I my WhatsApp status, and even on my Twitter, I have a tagline. It's called purposeful serendipity. So have a North Star, know your general direction, but also be open to serendipity, which is not discovering some things by surprise. To be honest, Mayor, if you would ask me this question when I was in college or school, I would have told you something totally different in terms of what I'm doing today. I never thought I'll be in consulting. I never thought I'll be here. I was, in fact, I used to call myself that I was very confused. I had a problem of plenty. I could do maths and science. I could have become an engineer. I was good at humanities. I thought of becoming a civil servant. So, but that confusion helped in finally making my choices emerge. So, all I'll say is that don't expect all the questions answered in black and white at the start of your career. Be open to experiments. Aditi talked about being open to failure. I would say, remember, this is not a 100-meter sprint. It's not a marathon also, because marathon, you're running those 42 kilometers. This is a cross country. Sometimes you need to stop and figure out how you're going to navigate that hill or that stream. Sometimes you'll have to take hurdle down the hilltop. Sometimes you'll struggle. You'll have to walk. So be ready for that. So that's one advice I'll give. The second thing I'll give, and I know it's something that Terry mentioned. I think it kind of got me triggering, is that when you talk of purpose, you talk of work-life balance. It's very important. Obviously, it will be great if you can be happy doing just what you're doing at work in your career. Right? What from an economic perspective, but inculcate some serious interests outside of that. It'll help you in your work. I'll give you an example. I always, ever since I saw Carl Sagan's Cosmos program in the 1980s, I wanted to be an astrophysicist. I'm not an astrophysicist, but what I've done is I've become a volunteer member of SETI, which is Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. I love doing some of that stuff in my own time, and it just makes it so much richer in terms of things that I can look forward to. It's a serious interest because it's amazing amount of time that you need to invest. Sometimes people ask me, I ask people, what are your interests? I binge on Netflix. I said, that's fine. Even I do that. But what's the serious interest you have? Something which actually requires you to invest your time. So that helps, because it also then you bring in that of an interest into your work as well. And it kind of then feeds off each other. So those are a couple of things that have helped me in my career, Meher. That's what I wanted to share.
On a personal note, sir, even I had the same issue while choosing my 12 subjects because I was always good in all the subjects. I was good in humanities, science, as well as commerce, so it was a task for me. But now that I look back, I think everybody finds a way out. So coming to you, Terry, sir, what is your answer? for this particular question.
It is funny when you're in college or university, and people used to say, "What are you in college for?" I'm like, "I'm here to figure it out. I like skiing, so I'm going to join the ski club." But when we get to that point where we start to graduate, we get all that anxiety. It's like, oh my gosh, and all the pressure that your parents are putting on yourself. The three things I would say, a piece of advice. We have this crazy thing in the United States in our Constitution. It's called the pursuit of happiness. That's like running down somewhere and never getting to the end. So I just flip it around and call it the happiness of pursuit. Being present, acknowledging that Aditi and Sunit are here and like we're connected right now around the world. How cool is that? So number one, take on the happiness of pursuit. Number two, be the person that people want to work with and be with. When you want to hang out with somebody, you want to work with that person. You're going to get clients, you're going to get business, you're going to get support, you're going to get balance. Be that person that people want to hang out with, and you'll be the person that people want to work with. And then number three, it's one thing to be a great team leader, but it's another thing to be the person that holds the team together. Team is key, and that's why at Enactus, we focus on experiential learning and team-based learning. It's the team that puts the music together. It's the team that creates Google. It's the team that creates Microsoft. It's a small team. And that's why when Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world, because indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So being part of Enactus, you get to change the world. You absolutely can change the world. And just start by changing your world. And that's passion on purpose.
Thank you so much, sir. I think with this, we can conclude our session. So I'd just like to say that resilience can help us get through and overcome hardship, but resilience is not something we are born with, it is built over time. Similarly, skills are built, not born. As we hear from all of you today, we feel very inspired to work on the right skill sets and competencies for our better future ahead. If I have to put down three key things that I would take away from this session, it would be number one, collaborative and cooperative mindset for sustained self-development. Number two, believing in actions. And lastly, developing positive learning attitude. Over to you, Sharanya.
With this, on behalf of all Enactus students, I thank you to share your experiences and your words of wisdom with us. We look forward to having more such conversations with you in the near future. And I'm sure all of us are equally looking forward to having you all on our campuses for some similar fireside enriching in such sessions. Thank you, Aditi ma'am, Terry sir, and Sunit sir. And thank you, Meher. It has been a great dialogue. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, Aditi, and Sunit for the incredible dialogue. It goes without saying that your words of guidance will benefit all our Enactus teams. I just want to add that being associated with Enactus as a student for 5 years and being here today truly makes me feel that I'm on the right path to deliver my passion with purpose. Thank you so much, Sharanya and Meher, for representing all Enactus students today. Before we move on to the most awaited results, let's celebrate all our teams and watch an exciting video together.
As you're aware, the 2021 Enactus India National Competition has two verticals, the mature stage and the early stage. The mature stage competition has 51 participating teams. These 51 teams are divided into 8 leagues, and 2 teams from each league advance to the semi-final round. The opening round of the mature stage competition concluded today morning at 10 a.m. Thank you to KPMG, our official scorers for the 2021 national competition, for verifying the top 16 teams for the mature stage competition. Congratulations to all the teams for your hard work and positive impact. Now let's finally move to the results. The following teams competed in League 1, out of which the top 2 are Aryabhatta College and Dr. SSB UICAT Punjab University. Congratulations to both the teams. From League 2, the top 2 teams that make it to the semi-final are Lady Shri Ram College for Women and Hindu College. Congratulations LSR and Hindu. The following teams competed in League 3, out of which the top 2 are Vellore Institute of Technology Chennai and Netaji Subhash University of Technology. Congratulations to VIT Chennai and NSUT. Moving on, from League 4, the top 2 teams are Indian Institute of Technology Delhi and St. Xavier's College Kolkata. Congratulations to both the teams. From League 5, the top 2 teams are Kalindi College, Delhi University, and Dayal Singh College. Congratulations. The following teams competed in League 6, out of which the top 2 are Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies and Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce. Congratulations SSCBS and SGGSCC. From the next league, the 2 teams advancing to the semi-final are Shri Ram College of Commerce and Delhi Technological University. A huge congratulations SRCC and DTU. The following teams competed in the League 8, out of which the top 2 are Ramjas College and Motilal Nehru College. Congratulations to both the teams. Thank you to all the participating teams and congratulations to the top 16. These 16 semi-finalists will now compete against each other in 4 leagues with 4 teams each. I would like to request these 16 teams to please join the league pairing call today at 7:15. The top 16 and their league divisions will be live on www.enactusindia2021.org at 7 p.m. The semi-final round awards ceremony will be held on the 19th of August at 6 p.m. Please join us then for a dialogue on role of technology in innovation and entrepreneurship and to congratulate the finalists. Do not forget to watch the project showcase and vote for your favorite project video at www.india.enactus.org. We will keep you posted about other activities and campaigns on our social media, so don't forget to follow us there. Thank you all for joining us today. See you on Thursday. Have a great evening. Thank you.